emphasis was in communications. So I did.
So Kyle, this is a great looking car. We're just delighted to have found it on the street. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, so I actually just purchased this car. I fortunately found it after a 3-month search through a Corvair owners Facebook group down in Austin, Texas. And a friend went and looked at it for me. I wired the money, I purchased it, and I actually just finished driving it home over the last week or so.
Wow, and how did it drive?
It actually drives very nice. It needs a little bit of work. The front suspension's a little bit tired, but probably 2 or 3 weeks worth of work. It's going to be a great driving car.
Great. Can you show us a little bit about it? Just
Yeah.
describe what you know and, the styling features.
A couple key features on it. It is the 1965 body style, which is the first year for the redesign.
Mm-hmm.
I actually grew up driving Corvairs. My first car was a 1964, and I daily drove that through high school. And I had a 1965 that was white with a fawn interior that was a project car for me. I sold that one. I sold my 64 after some time, and then I always wanted to buy another white 65. I always liked this late model body style.
And the red interior is really sporty.
The red interior is quite sporty. It's got the factory bucket seats. It is a fold-down rear seat, which is an odd option.
Really?
As well as the 6-gauge dash cluster.
That's very sporty looking too.
Specific to the Corsas.
Uh-huh.
So it has a factory tack as well as the clock, which unfortunately is not working, but that's a common thing that breaks on these.
So the back folds down, but it doesn't open into the engine compartment.
Correct. Doesn't open into the engine compartment. It has a little bit of insulation there.
Okay.
Surprisingly quiet car to drive, actually.
Ah, okay. Can we see the engine?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay.
So this is the second step down from the top engine. The highest engine you could get in a Corvair for 1965 was the 180 horsepower turbocharged engine. This is the next step down, which would be 140 horsepower, 4 Rochester carburetors, mechanical secondaries. It's a wonderful engine to drive. You get great fuel economy because you're only using 2 carburetors for the majority of the drive time.
Are these the carburetors?
Yep, so these are your carburetors. So you have a primary right here and then a secondary. And you can see as you progress the throttle linkage that the secondary will kick through right there.
Okay.
And so really until you're about half throttle or you're really getting into the gas, will those secondaries open up, and it's kind of a good swift kick in the pants, honestly.
Really? Yeah, it makes it really sporty. Now, the Corsa body, the way I knew it was a Corsa is it looks like it's extended in back. Is that a characteristic of this car? Or?
So it's the same body for all the Corvairs when they redesigned into 65.
Okay.
The only markings that denote it as a Corsa is the badging on the sides, so the Corsa on the front quarter panels, as well as the painted cove on the back.
Okay, so this is Corsa, yeah.
But really, there wasn't a whole lot of difference between the Corsa and the Monzas or the 500s. The main difference being the dash and the engine options.
Was this one of the last years they built it?
This was actually the first year for this body style. They built this body style from 65 through 1969 when they stopped production of the Corvairs.
Okay. And how do you feel about Ralph Nader's determination that this was unsafe at any speed?
I've driven a Corvair a lot of miles over my life. I've been driving these for about 10 years. I really disagree with it. The target was the 1960 cars, and there was a suspension change from 1960 into 1961, and then again in 1964, and then a complete redesign, a blank slate suspension for these 1965 cars. So every preconceived notion, everything you might believe about the early suspension cars, you can throw away. These handle very similar to a 911. They're not quite as tail happy. They're great to drive, especially in curvy roads, autocross style items like that.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, Kyle, thank you for the tour.
No problem. Thanks for taking the time.
Okay.